reconvene the Parker Town Council for January 3rd at 7 o'clock. All council members are present. Would you please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody.
This one keeps sliding.
So before we get started with our regular meeting, we have a special presentation for this evening. Laura, do you want to join me down here? And I'll grab my phone this time too.
Why can't I pull this chair up?
I'll just give you time. And so if we can have President Standiford and your family, if you all want to join too. If you, she's saying, come on, it's not forever. You have to stand up here forever. So as you know, in 2020, we started, and in 2021, we started recognizing groups and organizations and people through our community that do amazing service. So tonight, we have President Standiford from the South Parker State here with us and his family. And thank you all for joining us. We appreciate it. Councilmember Hefta wrote this one up, and I just want to take a moment to read what she had wrote. And then I'm just going to add some special remarks because I'm blessed to call you a friend. My family is blessed to call you a friend. So we'll have just a couple of the remarks. But under the leadership of President Jason Standiford, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, South Parker State, provides exceptional community service to the residents of Parker, Colorado. Your numerous contributions to nonprofit organizations, search and rescue operations, and town beautifications reflect great credit upon the church, their members, and the town of Parker. And you know, I just want to personally say it was members of your church that did the Mayor's Day of Service this year. And you know, when we turned the corner into O'Brien Park expecting to see 20 or 30 people out there, and we had over 1,000 people in the parks and on the trail system that day to beautify Parker. And then, you know, we've talked everything you've done for my family and just really how you've enveloped us. You've shared our genealogies. I know Councilmember Heft has received that. Councilmember Pogue has received that too. And it's really just amazing. So really just on behalf of all of us, thank you for what you and your church do every day to make Parker just an amazing place. So thank you, Mr. President.
We're going up behind.
So we'll. Oh, this is a 3-camera one?
Is it? Well, those new fancy ones.
You're a tiger. Smile. Awesome powers. You're a tiger. For your
What
time.
is that, a 3? The new 10 or 13 or 14 or 15 or something?
Sparkly.
Case.
Cool.
So when I got the new phone in April, I said, I want the smallest phone you make.
Yeah, you got the SE.
Yeah. Because anything bigger won't stay in a pocket that I have.
Nice new phone down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have the ghetto phone.
Pixel size that you need, there's a limit that you really don't need to exceed.
Yeah, there's only so much it's recognizable by the human eye.
Yeah.
All right, now for the rest of the show here. Item number 2 is the Parker Chamber of Commerce updates. TJ Sullivan is here, and are you going to bring your guest down now? Okay, come on down.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight it's my pleasure to introduce you to Jillian and Jim Sparks, owners of Hot Works, a new business here in Parker and a new member of the Parker Chamber of Commerce. The Hot Works patented saunas combine heat, infrared energy, and exercise to make a Hot Works workout completely unlike any other fitness program available. The Sparks and their team are located at 12919 Stroh Ranch Court in South Parker, a bit north of the King Supers at Stroh and Parker Road. Jillian is here to tell you a little bit about her business and starting a new enterprise in South Parker. Jillian?
Thank you, TJ. Thank you. And thank you, City Council and Jeff over here, who helped get our permits finally, and we got everything finished, and we've been open for 3 months now. I do want to say it's been more than what we expected here in Parker. We're kind of new to Parker. We live in Castle Pines, so we are kind of getting to know the community, and I will say the chamber has been so helpful to us. We joined right away. Someone said, you got to join the chamber in Parker, and I wasn't a big chamber type person, but we did, and not only did we get all these great business contacts that came out and supported us when we were actually in the parking lot selling memberships this summer. The partners came out, they had coffee, all sorts of things for people to come by. That was really awesome. The chamber let us host like a women's forum in the studio, which was fabulous. We had a great turnout, signed up a lot of members during that time. And then just for Jim and I personally, we go to all of the chamber events at the different restaurants. And so we've really got to know Parker. I mean, we didn't know there were so many great restaurants in Parker, actually. So it's been kind of fun for us to get to know not only the people of Parker, but just being able to get out in the community and see all these different businesses and different spas we've connected with, different studios that we're kind of partnering up with, and really mainly because of the chamber. So anyway, but yeah.
Awesome. Well, welcome to Parker.
Thank you.
And, when we met out at the movies in the park, I didn't connect that the Sparks own Hot Works. That's really,
Yeah.
that's pretty.
Yes, that's true.
That's intentional.
Yeah.
You had a name change that went along with it. I get it.
We went through all that
Yeah.
process, yeah.
Do you
Awesome.
have anything you want to add, honey?
No, I definitely appreciate all the effort, and like she said, the networking has been fantastic. The ability to connect with all these different businesses and just partner with things. We've never experienced this type of support in any other community that we've been involved with, and this has been fantastic. So really appreciate. Parker's just been a fantastic place to start and grow a business. It really is.
Awesome. Well, welcome, guys. Welcome, and happy 2022
Yeah.
to you.
And
Yeah,
everyone
absolutely.
come by and get a free workout in. Definitely try us out.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, guys. So the chamber will be hosting an official ribbon cutting for Hot Works, Hot Sparks, whatever we're going to call it, on the 18th of this month. Information at the chamber website. The Parker Chamber is very committed to serving businesses in every corner of Parker, north to south, east and west, including home-based businesses, which will be a focus of ours this year. It's our pleasure to support Jillian and Jim and other new businesses as they begin their exciting journey in this entrepreneurial community. Tonight, I'd also like to announce the Chamber's Stronger Business Series, trainings designed to help us build more resilient businesses in the Parker area. Our first Stronger Business Series seminar will be held on the morning of Friday, January 28th. It's called Keeping Great Employees, because we know it's hard for people to find employees. We want people to be able to keep them once they find them. So information is available on the Chamber's calendar at parkerchamber.com. Have a great evening. Thank you for the invitation.
Awesome. Thanks, TJ. All right, up next, item number 4, Downtown Business Alliance, and I believe we have a new chairman joining us tonight. Mr. Castillo, congratulations.
Thank you, Jeff. Mayor and Town Council, it's been a while since we've seen each other, so first and foremost, Happy New Year. John just seen you this morning, Todd just seen you yesterday, but the rest of you I haven't seen since last year, so it's nice to get up here and see you all. So, Omar Castillo, 12509 Prince Creek Drive. Great to see everyone once again, and a couple things we've been up to since we've last seen you. Once again, thank you, all of you, for honoring Chris as outgoing chair last month. That really meant a lot to him, and he was very thankful for that opportunity to be able to be honored by you guys, so we do appreciate that. But to your point, Jeff, like we talked about a little bit ago, we did have our elections in November, and we had our Christmas party on December 9th, which a bunch of you were able to join, and we appreciate you guys joining us and supporting us that night. But we ended up having that Christmas party at Deep Space. It was a lot of good times. We had celebrated those folks going out, and then we celebrated the folks coming in, and then we also had a little pretty cool special award ceremony for our chair people, for our committees, and folks that head up some of those committees. So outgoing folks going out is Chris Nell as chair, Councilwoman Barrington as vice chair. We're going to miss you, and we're going to miss your leadership and your knowledge. We do appreciate all you did for us the last 2 years. And last but not least, John Jordan, our board member at large. Incoming board is got Brandy Wilkes as vice chair. Haley Monteferranti at First Bank, she's going to be our treasurer. She's got a big task on her hand, taking after me. So, and then our board member at large, Denise Hack. So she's going to be joining us as well. So that makes our full board, and then me as well as being as your chairman for the next 2 years. So looking forward to working with you guys over the next 2 years. So a couple things that we're looking for over the next couple of years. First and foremost, continue to make downtown Parker a premier destination for our residents and folks outside of Parker. We all know what we have on our main street, what we have, great restaurants, great businesses, great everything. So continue to make that a premier destination. Membership, we want to focus on membership too. What we found is we've got about 30 active members, and we have quite a few members that are not active that have been part of the DBA, but trying to get some of those folks to come back, trying to show them the value of being part of the DBA, and just kind of doing a little bit of different items for them throughout the next 2 years with some events and some items that we got coming up for them as well. So that's going to be a huge focus for us over the next couple of years. And then events, kind of deciding what events we want to do. I know I've had the opportunity, Josh, you and I have spoke about this, and kind of the things that we want to do over the next couple of years is sit down in January and have an events committee, which we formed as well, have an events committee meeting and kind of just talk about what events do we want to do for the next year. And then once we figure out what those events are, kind of sit down and look like, what does that really look like? What is the magnitude of those events? How does that affect downtown Parker? How does it affect street closures? How does it affect public works and everybody else that has their hands involved for those particular events? And then come to you guys and sit down with a plan of saying, here's what we want to do, here's where we want to go, here's what it's going to take, and then what's it going to take for us to be able to pull off these events, and then also have your guys' 100% support, and also not put more strain on our public service, because we know how short-staffed everybody is, including our police force. So want to see what that really looks like. We want to have one signature event per quarter. What we want to do with that, and that kind of looks a different ways. Does that look like a parade? Does that look like a chili cook-off? Does that look like a cornhole tournament again? What does that look like? So we're going to be kind of coming up with those events coming up here in January as well. We ended up finishing doing the process of surveying all our members and our non-members in our DBA downtown area boundary. We did that survey that came out in November where we had Downtown Colorado Inc. with us. That was at our last meeting, in our November meeting. But we ended up doing that survey. We got that done. We're in the process of wrapping up those details, kind of seeing what we're going to do with our next steps and making some decisions on where we're going to go from those answers that we got from our members as well as our non-members. The survey is still staying out there. We did close the first round of surveys in late November, but we opened up another one. So for those members that didn't and non-members that didn't get a chance to answer those questions, give them an opportunity to be able to answer those questions and take a look at them. Lastly, but not least, a few events that we've got coming up in the month of January. We have a strategic planning for 2022 with Dr. Eric Goodman with Meridian Success on January 10th at the library at 10 a.m. So we're glad to be back at the library. We were not hanging out there the last couple of years due to COVID, but now we've got it wrapped up for this year as well as next year. So we do have our monthly membership meeting 10 a.m. at the library as well on January 12th. And then the last event we're doing on January 20th at 5 p.m. at Black House. We're going to do bring a non-member event. So what we're looking to do there is to bring in a non-member off of the DBA boundaries and bring them over and kind of show them a little bit about the DBA, what they get, all that good stuff, and just try to increase membership. And then last but not least, just kind of wanted to talk briefly about some of our committees, 2 brand new committees that we created for the next 2 years, or at least this year. We have an events committee that's going to be headed up by Denise Hack and Tor Olson from Black House. They're going to be our events committee, so they're going to be in charge of that. And then we also got a membership committee. Yours truly, Josh, is part of that committee as well. We're honored to have you, Josh, as well as Susan from Kilwins, as well as Melissa from Doe Dreamery. Our marketing committee that's headed up by Miss Shally Mango. And then we also have our government committee that's headed up by Cameron Kemplin. He's coming back to do that for us as well. Adopt a Street, Carrie Glassburn. Special Projects, Ashley Nagy. And then we've created a communications division, kind of, which is headed up by Brandy Wilkes. So she'll handle all our internal and our external communication for the next few years. So, no, that was a lot to talk about, but questions for me?
Anything for Omar?
Well done, Omar.
exhausted.
Look forward to the years, buddy.
Thank you, thank you.
Anything? Oh, Laura?
Couple, just for clarification,
Yes.
how long is that survey opened?
We're going to keep it open at least till next fall.
Okay, and then is the next meeting at 10 a.m. or 9 a.m.?
9 a.m., sorry. 9 a.m., sorry, thanks, Ann.
I feel like that was a leading question. Laura, questions?
I just wanted to recognize TJ Sullivan for his great new idea on the Stronger Business Series. I think that's something new that you're bringing to us, TJ. Excellent, great. I'm sure that the town residents will really appreciate that are a member of the chamber, and that'll probably bring more people in. And then I wanted to recognize you, Omar, for your great new ideas on new committees, events, and membership, and your leadership.
Thank you, appreciate it.
And bringing your experience to bear through your years of experience at the DBA.
Thank you.
Keep up the great work and the great ideas coming.
We will, thank you so much.
No, I'm exhausted too, but that was great. Thank you.
Yeah,
All right.
Good luck.
thank you, thank you, thank
Thanks,
you.
Omar.
Looking forward to it. And then looking forward to meeting with you, Michelle, on a monthly basis. I know we've set some groundwork and some ideas that Chris laid down that we're ready to pick up on, so looking forward to our January meeting. So, thank you. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Next item up is public comment. Public comment is an opportunity for town residents and other interested individuals to speak to items not on tonight's agenda. This comment period is limited to the first 30 minutes of the meeting, and then we'll take it back up at the end if it passes by that. So there's 3 ways to make public comment, either in the room by signing up on the sign-up sheet, or you can come down, on Zoom, which Danette will run, or by an email to the town clerk's office prior to 5 o'clock on the day of the meeting. So I don't have anybody signed up on the public comment sheet, but is there anybody in the room wishing to make a public comment? Nope. Danette, do we have anybody on Zoom?
Yes, we do. Just one moment.
Okay.
Okay, RJ, go ahead, please.
All right, if you will state your name and address for the record, and I will give you 3 minutes on the clock here.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
We can, yep.
I'll hopefully keep it to less than 3 minutes rather than bore all of you. My name is RJ O'Connor, address 19085 East Oak Creek Place here in Parker. Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Council. Happy New Year to you all. Hope you had a nice batch of holidays. It's not on the agenda. It was something you guys spoke about a couple of weeks ago that came to the Stroh Ranch Community Association HOA's attention, and that is the XL natural gas regulator expansion on the southwest corner of J. Morgan Boulevard and Parker Road. The Stroh Ranch Board has sent off communications that I'm hoping all of you have received, expressing support for the project, but opposing the construction and easement access point planned on J. Morgan Boulevard. Over the holidays, we were able to get in touch also with the Stroh Ranch Business Circle and a new developer coming to the Stroh Ranch area. They also, as I believe you hopefully have received communications from them, also show opposition to the planned construction entrance, but not opposition to the actual project. Does that make sense?
It does.
So I just wanted to come in on public comment tonight to put a voice and a face to the words, at least from the Stroh Ranch Community Association, hoping to hear from XL. We've reached out to communicate with them, but I think a lot of their plans may have been messed up thanks to the horrible events from last week over in the northwest part of town. So that's all I have for now. Thank you for giving me the time.
Great. Thanks, RJ. Danette, do we have anyone else?
No one else, thank you.
Okay. Moving on in the agenda, item number 6, report items and comments from mayor and council. I'm going to start to my left with Councilmember Hefta.
I just hope everyone had a great holiday season. We're in a new year. I did have the chance to attend the Wreaths Across of America in December and honor our veterans. I get a chance to tour the cemetery as well in Parker and meet and thank the Parker Cemetery organizers for also conducting this. And also, I got a chance to connect with local constituents for our community. I spent the last several weeks as a resident in this community helping a member of our armed services with his application to West Point. So when I do meet you in the community and you are a veteran, I'm probably going to talk to you. And if you need help with something, I'm going to reach out and I'm going to help you with something. So hopefully this young man that I helped over the past 2 weeks will someday be successful in getting into West Point. So I like to reach out to our residents and always help our residents in any way I can with any expertise I have. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Barrington.
Happy New Year, everyone. So it's been a very busy couple of weeks, and our condolences go out to Boulder County and to all the victims, and they need a lot of support. So we're trying to be here for them. We had 2 informal Greater Parker Foundation meetings, and I was also lucky enough to be involved in a couple of awareness campaigns for our healthcare workers and our first responders, and we just want them to know that we care about them a lot, and we know they're all working hard. Thanks.
Councilmember Dyak.
Thank you very much. I as well attended the Wreaths Across America with Councilmember Hefta, the mayor, and Councilmember Rivero was also there in attendance. Thank you very much to the DAR, Daughters of the American Revolution, for assisting in that project. Also, to build on Councilmember Barrington's comments regarding the fire, we have a group of special people here in Parker. I've been here since 83. And you always just uncover people that you just don't quite know what they do, but they show up when they need to. And I started to create a list of people, and I just probably cannot do justice with everyone. So, thank you to those people who assisted. There are a couple here in collecting everything for the Marshall Fire, for the Boulder County Fire. It was great to see the Parker community coming out, lines of cars just waiting to unpack anything they can think of, anything that was on the website, on Facebook. People continually came. There were people coming through multiple times, and to me, the Parker community showed up. To me, I always felt, and I've always observed, that the Parker community was there for us. But it's very special to see people within this community selflessly give their time, their effort, their energy to other people within the region. It's just a fantastic thing, and it's going to continue, I'm sure. So thank you all for those people who donated, thank you, and for those people who put forth the time to create these events, thank you so much.
Councilmember Hendricks.
Thank you, Mayor. Other than enjoying the holidays, I'll want to echo what Councilman Dyak and Barrington said. Yesterday, I was part of a special group of people that got together for Boulder County Fire, doing a donation drive. Citizens came multiple times. Truckloads of water and other needed supplies were sent up north. So I want to thank everyone who organized it and showed up and donated. And also, just want to mention Parker Task Force is doing a food drive this weekend, Saturday. Safeway and all the King Supers, there'll be people out collecting goods from a needs list that they'll hand out and be delivered to Parker Task Force. Thank you.
Great. Councilmember Pogue.
Yeah, the Boulder experience was quite extreme, and I think it took a lot of people by surprise. And having fought in that arena for a number of years. I want to assure the people of Parker that whatever they can give is great. Cash right now is supreme. And I'll tell you why. Many of these people were insured. FEMA is coming through with money and resources. There are other folks out there who will have needs that were not insured, and they're going to have to replace them. And there's only so much that insurance and FEMA do for replacing these kind of products that they might need, or housing or whatever. So cash really is the big thing for these people. And I think it's the Boulder Community Fund that's collecting the cash. So if you're really looking for another way to help, I would say a donation there would be very appreciated by those folks. As far as December, I enjoyed the snow. I love snow. Don't like to shovel it. But at the same time, we were at 2 meetings for the Greater Parker Foundation. Our goal is to try to get that thing moving in a positive direction. The other meeting I was involved with was the CML, which is the Colorado Municipal League Policy Committee. They're already looking at policies that they're going to be supporting in this legislative session, and we have a couple of workshops coming up in February. So I'm not quite sure when the policies have to be finalized, but that's where I've been spending some of my time. Thank you.
Awesome. Councilmember Rivera.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Happy New Year to everybody. Here's to a good 2022. I just, again, will reiterate, thank you, thoughts and prayers with all those affected by the Marshall fires. Do consider the Colorado Red Cross if you're looking to give financially. They definitely use the money well. And then lastly, I traveled a bit during the holidays, and it's going to sound selfish, but I love coming home. We've got a good community. It's clean, it's safe, and when you travel, you kind of just realize how blessed we are here. So with that, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Great. And I only have a couple things to add. Attended the Wreaths Across America, where I actually have sponsored J.S. Parker, who is a veteran and the former of our town here. So I've adopted him, and we get to place flowers on his headstone for every occasion, which is great. Also, along with Councilmember Barrington and Hendricks, we attended the police swearing in of 3 of our newest police officers. And I think we'll all agree they all look very, very young. But very committed and very excited. You know, the great thing about attending swearing-ins is that I not only get to talk to the new officers, but also to their significant others and their families. And, you know, I always make this promise that this council has your back. We had it when the state legislature came after them last year. I expect I speak on behalf of the whole council when I say we'll have the police departments back when the Golden Dome comes after them this year, because I don't think it's over. But, you know, these are amazing young men that are, you know, really, they're so excited about protecting Parker. And then lastly, Councilmember Hefta and I had a chance to attend a Parker to Pasadena send-off for Donate for Life. So that was a young man, relative, who received a heart and kidney transplant that is a Parker resident, actually a Ponderosa graduate, and he was on the Donate for Life float in the Pasadena, in the Rose Bowl parade. So some good representation there. So it's been great, and like everyone else, my thoughts are with Superior, with Louisville, with everyone up in Boulder County. It's a tough break, but they're a strong community. They'll get through it. So moving on to consent agenda. Council, you have 8 items on the consent agenda, items 7A through 7, I'm sorry, 7A through G. Do I have that right?
10, I believe, 7A through 7J.
Thank you. You have 10 items on the consent agenda. Council, if there's no questions, then I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve consent agenda items 7A through 7J, please.
I'll second.
Okay, motion is made by Councilmember Hendricks, seconded by motion is made by Councilman Rivero, seconded by Councilmember Hendricks. And this will be a voice. Rivero?
Aye.
Pogue?
Aye.
Hendricks?
Yes.
Hefta?
Yes.
Barrington?
Yes.
Dyak?
Yes.
And that passes 6-0. Moving on to item 8, our first public hearing of the night is on the Parker Tennis Site Plan and Authorization Letter. Julia is here with us. So, Council, I just want to remind you on the public hearing, the way we'll do it is we'll have a presentation from staff. Julia, do you have an applicant here doing a presentation? I saw him back there, but
He won't be doing a presentation, but he does have a few words after I present.
okay, fantastic. So we'll hear from the applicant. We'll ask questions of that. Then we'll go for public testimony from the general public. We'll close it. We'll bring it back for debate, comments, and then a vote. So with that, I will open up the public hearing on the Parker Tennis Site Plan and Authorization Letter at 7:30 and turn it over to you, Julia.
Good evening, council members, mayor, happy new year. The applicant, Parker Racket Club, is proposing a site plan amendment to add exterior sports courts to the existing Parker Racket Club. The site is located on the southeast corner of 20 Mile Road and Plaza Drive. On October 2nd, 2017, the town as landlord and Parker Tennis Center as tenant entered into a ground lease for the property. The tennis center applied for a site plan which was approved by the town council following a public hearing on March 19th of 2018. Parker Tennis has requested to amend the site plan to allow for outdoor courts. While site plan amendments are administrative, the Town of Parker Municipal Code requires that projects on town-owned facilities be considered by the Planning Commission and the town council at public hearings. The Parker Racket Club provides athletic and recreational activities to town residents. They currently offer 6 indoor tennis courts, a social area, viewing mezzanine, locker rooms, and offices at their facilities, which are open to all members of all ages. The original site plan approval indicated the locations on the project site where future court expansion would be scheduled to occur. Their current application, the site plan amendment, requests to create outdoor courts with the intent of creating an athletic campus with amenities that serve the needs of the public. Due to the success in operations and demand of the indoor portion of the facility, the applicant is seeking to expand their operations on the remaining vacant and underutilized portions of the site, with the goal of providing a diverse selection of outdoor sporting options to the Parker community. The outdoor court expansion will include 3 tennis courts, 4 padel courts, 2 pickleball courts, 1 hitting wall pickleball court, and 2 sand volleyball courts. There will be an additional 22 parking spaces added to the existing 47 parking spaces for a total of 69 parking spaces. There's also connections to and from existing pedestrian sidewalks around the site perimeter, and that's part of the site plan's goal. This is a depiction of the court fencing and other materials to be used on site. The subject property is designated as light industrial within the town master plan and then zoned within the Clark Plan development for mixed-use commercial light industrial uses. Public facilities are appropriate within this character area. Site development regulations apply to all new changes in uses, buildings, or structures, or additions, or major alterations to exteriors of buildings, including changes to color schemes and materials as approved of a previous site plan submittal. If the development standards are met or can be met, they must be approved or approved with conditions. This is an evaluation of the approval criteria. The project meets all site plan standards, including parking lot requirements, consistent with the special parking study required for the use. The project meets all landscaping, photometric, screening, and bicycle parking requirements of the town code. Staff has reviewed the proposal and has determined that it is consistent with the master plan, provides adequate access, infrastructure, drainage facilities, and design considerations, will not result in any additional municipal service costs. All referral agency comments have been satisfied, and it meets all site plan amendment considerations and criteria. In addition to the development requirements, the town's adopted Parks, Recreation, and Open Space Master Plan encourages private-public partnerships for athletic facilities to supplement recreation in the town of Parker. On December 9th, 2021, the Planning Commission voted unanimously to recommend approval of the site plan amendment. Staff and Planning Commission recommend that the Town Council approve the 20 Mile Industrial Park Filing 2A1, Lot 2A, Parker Racket Club site plan amendment to allow additional exterior court expansion subject to the 5 conditions contained in the staff's report. This concludes my report, and I'm available to answer any questions you may have.
Great, thanks, June. Council staff questions? Councilmember Hendricks? Councilmember Pogue?
Yeah, just for information purposes, you said padel, is that how you pronounce it, or paddle?
So I believe that is how you pronounce it, and I think the European way is paddle and the American way is padel, which sounds counterintuitive, but...
Are there other courts such as this in the south part of Denver?
There's no other courts in the Intermountain area. We would be the only town in 5 states to have it. It's just coming to the United States. There's about 100 courts total in the US, but it's growing and it's going to be very, very popular. It's big in Spain and Europe where they're taking out tennis courts and they're putting padel courts in place of them.
Sounds like pickleball to me.
It's a combination of pickleball, racquetball, squash, and tennis.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic.
Just a growing sport.
Very much so.
Well, it was a new one on me, so I thought I'd ask. Thank you.
Councilman Rivera.
Thank you very much. Ed, I have relatives and family, obviously, in Sweden, and paddle is huge. I mean, they are taking over rooftops of buildings. It's amazing. My question is, obviously, you addressed it a little bit. The parking was adequate when it was initially put in for both the existing indoor plus the outdoor, correct?
So when the parking was initially installed, I believe there were 49 spaces with that initial site plan. The use per the code doesn't have a set required parking. A special parking study is required where they do an analysis to what other comparable uses provide. An additional 22 spaces were determined to be needed through that evaluation, and those are being added as part of this approval.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Councilman Dyak.
No, I'm just, I'm reconciling paddle and padel right now. Thank you.
Councilmember Barrington.
Okay, so there's 3 tennis courts, 4 paddle courts, 2 dedicated pickleball courts. Will the tennis courts also convert to pickleball courts for tournaments and such?
That's a very good question. According to
Barry,
the-
hold on, let's save for staff,
Okay, I
and
think
then,
I went-
and then Barry, we'll bring you up to make a comment. They can get their padel education. Okay. No, you're fine.
Sorry, Jim.
And you're usually the one.
Sorry, I'm usually keeping everyone on track here.
It's been a few weeks, we're rusty.
All right, Councilmember Hefta.
And then, did I catch that there was no additional cost to the town for any of this?
I would defer to the town attorney, but there's no change as is with this lease agreement or anything. It's just a site plan approval. So the cost of construction is on the applicant.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that for the record. And I can appreciate the tennis courts and the padel and the pickle and the combined hitting and the sand volleyball because it's something we don't have here right now. But being a swimmer, I can't tell you that I engage in any of this at this stage of life, but thank you.
Great, okay, we'll close it off for staff comments. Barry, you want to come up and make any comments, and then we'll get the paddle versus pedal. See, Omar's going to go get his pedal. Padel.
Yeah, it is, Omar. Barry Riddle, 10651 Clarkville Way here in Parker. So your question's a very good one. And the USTA's current policy on pickle, because they're going back and forth fighting over courts, is that you can't permanently stripe tennis courts as pickleball courts and then use them for sanctioned USTA events. So what we might do is we'll stripe the courts temporarily when someone wants to play pickle, but we won't permanently stripe them until they change their policy. So does that answer your question about the outdoor courts and what we're going to do with pickleball?
I think so. So because we already know the popularity of pickleball, but you're putting 4 padel courts versus only 2 pickleball, that was my question or concern. And
Right, because we're putting in 3 pickleball courts, so those will be dedicated. Those will be full-time, all pickleball outdoor.
okay.
Then we can stripe the outdoor courts as pickleball, so that'll give us 6 more pickleball courts we can use for tournaments and events. And then we have the 6 indoor courts, so we can stripe those for pickleball as well. So we really will have, what is that? Do the math for me. 12, 15, bingo. Yeah, we'll have the ability to have 15 pickleball courts. Only 3 of them will be full-time, but the others can be taped and temporary. So that's a big facility.
Thanks.
Right. Well, so Barry, do you want to make any comments, or do you want to just go another round of questions?
I was here primarily because I knew that what's padel would come up, so I'm here for that.
You hit it. You hit it. Laura, any other questions?
Well, yeah,
for
just
Barry?
I was looking at your memo here. You also are going to have a food truck area, drop-off zones, and handicap parking spots as well.
That's already there.
That's
That's
already
part of the
there.
infrastructure that's existing, yes.
Okay. So any additional food truck space or no?
No, we have one food truck pad.
Yeah.
So that's adequate. If we want another one, we can use a parking spot for that.
And where do people bring their own water then, or do you have supplied water anywhere for all
We have
this?
water. We have a water fountain.
Okay.
And then we have bottled water as well. Yeah.
Thank you.
Councilman Dyak, any questions?
Barry, who's the father of Padel? Who is that person that really?
I have no idea. That's a direct. You probably have the answer, don't you?
I
Knowing
looked
you,
it up
you probably have the
online.
answer.
Uh-oh, here we go. Councilmember Pogue.
Mexico.
Well, but I mean.
It started on
Okay,
the
okay,
beach.
let's keep the questions for the applicant, if we could.
I'll go with Mexico.
This is inquisitive. I mean, I'm
That's
trying
a
to
good
figure
question.
out
I don't know.
who was that one person? I mean, who's the number one ranked player of Padel? Do we know?
I don't know
too?
that either. No.
Cheryl?
All right, so.
I didn't read
I
that
think
far.
Councilman.
I'm done.
All right, perfect. Councilmember Hendricks?
Just trying to understand.
Hi. So I'm very excited we're at this point. It's a great example of public-private partnership. Looking at the site plan, I assume you're not expanding indoor facility anymore. You're just doing the outdoor stuff.
Not yet.
Okay.
This is what we consider to be phase 2
Okay.
of our overall plan. Phase 3 is we have space to the west of our current building.
Okay.
So we're starting to look at what we want to do with that. That could be more additional tennis, that could be additional full dedicated pickleball courts, could be paddle and, see, I did it, padel
Nice.
and pickleball. So
Well,
we'll have one more expansion.
I'm pleased you're including the pickleball and padel, Peru, whatever fan base. Make this facility multi-sport, and I think it's fantastic. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Cheryl, any questions for the applicant?
No, but the history is online.
Okay. Excellent. Michelle, can we get that posted to the Town of Parker's website? Perfect. Thank you.
At least a link.
I have it.
Councilmember Rivero, can you elevate us here? And
No, I can tell you who the founder is, but we'll wait for comments for that. This is not questions. Thank you, Barry. Appreciate
Thank
you
you.
being here.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you all.
So at this point, we'll go to public testimony on this item. Anyone in the room wishing to make a public testimony, not about padel or paddle or pickleball, but about the applicant? And Danette, do we have anyone online wishing to make?
No public
Okay.
comments.
So we'll go ahead and close public testimony, and we'll close the hearing at 7:40. Mr. Crandall?
Yes, I do have just a quick comment to make.
Come down if you'll state your name and address for the record.
Sure. 12110 Bay Oaks Court, Parker, Colorado, 80138. Should I say it again for?
Nope, you're good.
Okay. I'm a huge fan of pickleball. I'm so excited that they're going to be adding more courts to the town of Parker, and I know that there's been a huge shortage, so I'm all in favor. The one question I have is I have a pizza truck, a little mobile pizza truck that brings pizzas in, the food trucks. And when it gets arranged, I would love to bring my pizza truck over and do a little pizza making for you all. So anyway,
Awesome. We'll connect you with Mr. Riddle right behind you.
Sounds great.
We'll get
Thank you so
started.
much.
Great. Thank you, sir. Good to see you. All right, with that, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing at 7:43. We'll bring it back to the council for comments and debate. We'll start to my right this time, Councilman Rivero.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Obviously, as testimony was just stated, it's much needed. I do know how fast paddle's growing. They're taking over any space they can, including rooftops in Sweden, and it's just an incredibly popular sport. I think it's faster than pickle, probably playing off the walls and a little bit of racket, ball influence there, but definitely growing. I'm glad to see you're ahead of the curve, honestly. I mean, very, very. I have a feeling those courts are going to be taken off here pretty quickly. With that, I find that you've met the standards and the criteria, and I find this site plan amendment is in compliance with the lease of the public property and our land development ordinance.
Great. Councilmember Pogue?
Is it appropriate for a question at this point or just a statement?
Just a statement, just comments.
I don't have anything else to add.
Okay. Councilmember Hendricks.
Again, I'm pleased we're at this point. I'm glad things moved along, and I welcome this addition to the town of Parker. Thank you.
Councilmember Dyak?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's a fantastic use. I remember way back where we were trying to figure out how to make this reality, and Barry made it work. Barry and team made it work. So congratulations, and the expansion is just a testament to what was told to us. Quite honestly, is that racket sports are a growing entity here in Colorado and here in the U.S. So I'm thankful we have that. And, I believe that the applicant has met all the criteria. Thank you.
Great. Councilmember Barrington?
So I have been to the facility several times and actually played in a tournament where I was crushed by a 80-year-old woman and a 12-year-old, I think. So I need to get back over there and practice, but it's been hard to find court time. So I know I speak for a lot of people in Parker, but this is very needed, and if padel becomes more popular, I'd love to try that. And it looks like you guys have met all the criteria here with maybe a few conditions, but I think we're all excited. Thank you.
Great. Councilmember Hefta?
Thank you, Casey, for bringing this vision and this great new idea to Parker. And this is going to bring a lot more folks into Parker to enjoy your tennis courts and paddleball courts and teach someone new. It's also going to bring in a lot of new business, too, because people are going to be hungry when they're done playing their racquetball. And so you're a leader and an innovator for our community in Parker with your fantastic new ideas. Thank you.
Excellent. Council, with that, I'll entertain a motion on SP 21-018, the Parker Tennis Site Plan and Authorization Letter.
I move to approve the ground lease authorization letter.
I'll second.
Motion is made by Councilmember Rivero, seconded by Councilmember Hendricks. This will be a voice vote. Rivero?
Aye.
Pogue?
Aye.
Hendricks?
Yes.
Dyak?
Yes.
Barrington?
Yes.
Hefta?
Aye.
And that passes 6-0. All right, next up is ordinances. First up is ordinance number,
Sorry, we still
I'm
have,
sorry.
There's
there
number
was two
two.
parts. There's a site plan, there was a ground lease letter and a site plan.
where did I? Are we doing that as one?
So there should be two motions, one to
Thanks.
approve the authorization letter and the second, the site plan with the conditions.
All right. Thanks for that catch. Is there a motion on that?
I move to approve the site plan for SP 21-018 based on the conditions contained in the staff report.
I'll second.
All right, motion is made by Councilman Rivero, seconded by Councilmember Hendricks. So it'll be a voice. Rivero?
Aye.
Pogue?
Aye.
Hendricks?
Yes.
Dyak?
Yes.
Barrington?
Yes.
And Hefta?
Yes.
And that passes 6-0. Any others for that one? All right, we're good. Thanks, Barry. Appreciate you being here tonight.
Thank you.
All right, now we'll move on to ordinances. First up is ordinance number 1.555 on second reading, a bill for an ordinance stating the intent of the town of Parker to acquire certain property interest for the purpose of making roadway improvements to North Parker Road, a town roadway, through the utilization of the town's power of eminent domain, and directing the town staff and town attorney to notify all persons affected thereby of the above stated intent of the town, and thereafter to comply with all pertinent provisions of CRS Section 38-1-102 and sequential relating to good faith negotiations. Mr. Mustang, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Mr. Mayor and Council. Good evening. For your consideration tonight is an ordinance stating the town's intent to acquire right-of-way and easements for the North Parker Road Operational Improvements Project. We've discussed this project with the council several times, but as a quick refresher, we are talking about Phase 1 of improvements to Parker Road. This phase stretches from about Parkland Way north to nearly E470. The primary goal of the project is to increase the travel lanes on Parker Road to increase mobility through the corridor. We propose to accomplish that mainly by repurposing existing dedicated turn lanes as shared through and turning lanes to, again, get us more additional lanes out there. The project also supports pedestrian connectivity by connecting sidewalk gaps in the corridor. So the project is through preliminary design. Our design consultant has identified 9 different commercial properties along the corridor on which right-of-way or easements are needed to construct these planned improvements. We'll quickly step through the map showing these on the next 4 slides, but as you'll see, the majority of these are smaller temporary construction easements. There is one area of right-of-way, one permanent easement, and then one larger temporary construction easement that we're proposing to acquire. So the next 4 slides are what we call our right-of-way plans. These exhibits show the proposed acquisitions for this project. This first slide starts on the southern end of the project. We are on the west side of Parker Road, just north of Parkland. So there's the auto parts stores right on the corner there. We're proposing 2 temporary construction easements on that property, one on the corner to tie in the new sidewalk, and then one where we'll be reconstructing their driveway there a little bit further north. There's an additional temporary construction easement on the property to the north that shares that driveway, again, to reconstruct that driveway. The next slide moves just a little bit north in front of Walgreens, where we have a small temporary construction easement there to tie in sidewalk to a new sidewalk that we're constructing on their property. Next slide, please. This next slide moves further north. This is at the southwest corner of Ponderosa Drive and Parker Road. This is on the corner where Bevy's and Sprouts is located. So the tract in question there on the corner is a stormwater detention pond. This is where we're proposing the additional right-of-way acquisition on the south side of Ponderosa Drive. We're proposing that acquisition so we can add one additional lane to the eastbound traffic on Ponderosa Drive. The reason we think this is needed is because currently there's 3 eastbound lanes, one dedicated left, one shared left through lane, and then one dedicated right turn lane. That requires us to run the traffic signal at what we call a split phase configuration, where basically all the eastbound movements go and then all the westbound movements go. It's not as efficient as running opposing left turns. So with the addition of one more lane on the eastbound direction, we can have 2 dedicated lefts, one dedicated through lane to eliminate the shared lane, and then still have our dedicated right turn lane, which we think is needed. So that will allow us to run the signal at a more conventional method where we have opposing left turns, which is more efficient for the intersection overall. As you can see, this is also where we have the large temporary construction easement that I mentioned. It's over the stormwater detention pond in case we need to regrade or redesign that to make sure it works with the impacts of the additional right-of-way and roadway there on the north side. There is also an additional temporary construction easement on the gas station property to the south. We don't anticipate any impacts there, but we want to have that just to make sure we are able to construct what we need to do in the pond tract. Next slide. This is the final slide, a little bit further north on the east side of Parker Road. The right-in, right-out access point you see there is known as Venture Court. That is a private access into the commercial at the southeast corner of Pine Drive and Parker Road, where the Harley dealership is located. This is where we're proposing a permanent easement, basically over that entrance to allow us to install some new storm sewer infrastructure that is going to improve drainage in the area. You also see the small temporary construction easement along that whole boundary of those properties. That's to allow us to tie in a new sidewalk in that area, just to give us room to construct and tie that in up the slope there. So that kind of runs you through the proposed acquisitions. The next slide shows a quick summary of the areas of the various types of acquisitions we're proposing. As you can see, the right-of-way and the permanent easement are very small areas. The majority is temporary construction easements with the project. So finally, again, what's before you tonight is an ordinance that states the town's intent to acquire these right-of-way and easements. Certainly, town staff and our consultant plan to engage in good faith negotiations with all the property owners for the needed right-of-way and easements. If we're unable to come to an agreement with any of the property owners, we will come back to town council before initiating any other action to discuss that situation. And what's before you tonight is just an ordinance that is required to approve this intent to acquire that will allow us to begin discussions with the property owners. So that ends my formal presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. Thank you.
Council staff, questions? We'll start with Councilmember Dyak.
No questions.
Okay, Councilmember Barrington.
No questions, thank you.
Councilmember Hefta.
Yes. When do you engage in discussions with the property owners? Do you engage in preliminary discussions with them?
Assuming this is approved tonight, we would begin that process as soon as possible.
Okay, so do they suspect this might be coming?
We have not contacted any of the property owners to date.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Hendricks.
No questions.
Councilmember Pogue.
Yeah, clarify for me, are we doing this because we want to widen Parker Road? What is the real reason behind this?
Behind the project or behind this ordinance?
Obtaining these easements for your total project?
Yeah, So I tried to kind of step through the various types and why we're requiring all these easements. But generally, it's to tie in the construction on the edges of the properties, on the edges of the right-of-way where we're either building new sidewalk or tying in a driveway, just to give us, our future contractor the ability to work in those areas and effectively tie in the project the way it needs to on these properties.
Okay, because my concern was if you're going to be doing it because you want to widen Parker Road, that's a state effort, not ours.
Correct, and the one stretch of right-of-way on widening is on a town road. That's on Ponderosa Drive. It's not located out on Parker Road, so we're not obtaining any right-of-way for CDOT through this process.
So, and then I couldn't bring up all of the graphics here. I don't know why it just wouldn't come up. But are you also looking at this as a future sewer line?
We're just making localized drainage improvements, and maybe Danette can flip to the last map there. If you ever drive by this area on the east side of Parker Road, the drainage, this is an area we inherited from Douglas County. It was an annexation so it didn't develop in the town. So the drainage situation isn't ideal through there. There's a roadside ditch on Parker Road. A lot of these properties on the corner there, the commercial properties, there's a few ponds up there that does provide some detention, but a lot of it really drains down to the roadway. So our intent here is to collect some of that before it sheet flows down onto the road, just to improve the drainage situations there on Parker Road.
Okay, because somewhere in here I saw that future sewer line. And so if it's for a future sewer line, why are we not bringing in Parker Water and Sand?
Future storm sewer line.
Storm sewer?
Yes.
I saw sewer line, so that's why I was asking these questions.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Councilmember Rivera.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So if you go back to the first and second map, please. So are we looking to hear at the first steps of actually extending that acceleration lane coming off of Lincoln South?
Correct. The good thing here is we actually have the needed right-of-way to do that.
Outstanding. I mean, I think that's a huge ask from the citizens. It's a tricky intersection and corner as it is, so obviously that's much needed. Are there opportunities in the future where these acquisitions go back to the property owners? Do we sometimes not find need for them and then eventually give them back?
Well, so all the temporary easements are just that, they're temporary. So typically it's 1 year after the project or something like that. So those always go away. They're permanent easements, probably not. The right-of-way, we're going to build new roadway in there, so we wouldn't be giving that back. And the permanent easement, those are non-exclusive in nature, so they're not really that binding to the property. It just allows us to go in and maintain those areas eventually.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Council, any other questions of Alex? All right, with that, we will open it up for public comment. Anyone in the room wishing to make public comment on this item? Seeing none, Danette, do we have anyone online?
No, there's nobody online.
Okay, then we'll close that out, and council will bring this back for debate or comments, and I'll start with Councilmember Hendricks.
No comments.
Okay, Councilmember Pogue?
Nothing further, thank you.
Councilman Rivera?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This, obviously, 2 words, eminent domain, are always touchy. But the most important part is that it's just the beginning with negotiations. And in my opinion, there is sometimes even an option where the property owner benefits from eminent domain being enacted, because then they get appraisals and they don't have to do much work, and they get a well-valued price for their property. So it's just the beginning. It sounds scary because it does get abused, not by this community, but it has been abused by other communities. But this is a first step, and I believe in a rightful action to improve our network and obviously a much-needed area on North Parker Road. So I applaud the work.
Great. Councilmember Dyak?
Thank you. Alex, this is our Dr. Cog project, is that correct? Yeah. So with this, this is just quite honestly, it's an awareness of our staff that a state highway is potentially failing, or we can potentially improve or optimize what we have. And that awareness led us to submit this project for funding at the Dr. Cog level. I believe we also got some county money as well as, I'm missing somebody else, state money. So that is a good thing. If we bring a project that potentially could improve our citizens' ability to not get in an accident, or to improve Parker Road to make sure they get there a little quicker, that's what we're doing here. So for context, I mean, this item is a part of that, and we are just trying to find ways to make our roadway better here in Parker, and also by looking up and asking for money from other entities so we could stack that capital and make the project a reality. So supportive of the project. Thank you.
Councilmember Barrington.
As the population grows, the flow of traffic just, it's going to affect everyone, and it looks like this is just going to be all around good for everyone in the area and to keep the flow of traffic going. So thank you for your hard work, and I support this.
Great. Councilmember Hefta.
Yeah, the law of eminent domain has been around a long time, and it's steeped in the Colorado law, the Colorado Constitution, Article 2, Section 14 and 15. And Section 14 addresses the taking of property for private use and limits and acquisitions. And also, the Constitution goes over the ability of a home rule charter to also engage in a process such as we are engaging in tonight to discuss and have the ability for eminent domain, should it come to that. Correct, Mr. Maloney? Okay. So hopefully it won't come to that, that the property owners will engage in negotiations with you to get these necessary right-of-ways and improvements done to the property. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Council, if there's no other comments, then I will entertain a motion on ordinance number 1.555.
I move to approve ordinance number 1.555 on second reading.
Second.
Motion is made by Councilmember Hendricks, seconded by Councilmember Dyak. We'll do a roll call. Rivero.
Aye.
Pogue.
Aye.
Hendricks.
Yes.
Dyak.
Yes.
Barrington.
Yes.
Hefta.
Yes.
That passes 6-0. Next ordinance on for tonight is ordinance number 4.116 on second reading, a bill for an ordinance establishing the vertical and horizontal alignment and the grade of the Dransfeldt Road extension from Motsenbocker Road to 20 Mile Road and Motsenbocker Road from Todd Drive to Longland Parkway. Mr. Hudson, Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to the Mayor and Council as well. All right, next slide, please. So due to continued growth in the southern half of Parker and locations south of Parker, we've been talking about the need for Dransfeld Road over Cherry Creek for numerous years. There's also some needs for some improvement to Motsenbocker Road from Longland Drive. And you're probably going, where's Longland Drive? It's a street that services Salisbury Heights subdivision. There's nobody that actually lives on Longland Drive. It's a 100-foot long street, but it's the street that goes into Salisbury Heights. And this is to make improvements up to the Todd Drive project. There's also roadway improvements that are needed to support the planned Salisbury North development, Salisbury Park North, property. And so we're moving forward with this ordinance tonight, basically as a step as we're moving forward to planning construction in 2023 if funding comes together in next year. Next slide, please. Since Dransfeld Road doesn't exist today over Cherry Creek, we have to establish the vertical, horizontal alignments and the grade of this road via ordinance. And the distance of these roadways as follows. They're in the ordinance. About a half mile of Dransfeld Road is what's being proposed, and about 7/10 of a mile of Motsenbocker. Both these roads are being proposed as collectors. Next slide, please. This is a vicinity map, and the orangish red color is the roads we're talking about in question here. You can see the 20-mile Dransveld intersection on the north. That road's going to extend south and west, down crossing Cherry Creek, and ultimately tie back into Motsenbocker Road at that Longland intersection that we were just talking about, the Salisbury Heights subdivision. And then there's going to be some realignment of Motsenbocker Road. There's a new intersection that's actually proposed in the former turf field, sod farm, there to the east of existing Motsenbocker. This is going to be primarily a north-south road with a connection going back to the west as well to tie into existing Motsenbocker and actually tie into Todd Drive as well to get over to Jordan. The area in purple was the road that we improved in 2019. And Todd Drive was a project, I think it was in 2015, we built the piece from Jordan over to Motsenbocker. So this is just the next piece of the puzzle as we continue to push this road and improve this road going south to support the development that's going on in the southern part of the town and to also support things that are happening beyond the town. We can't forget about Douglas County development to the south, Castle Rock development to the south. They all end up feeding on our road network, and we have to look long-term at these things. Next slide, please. So this ordinance uses an exhibit, it's called Exhibit A, to establish the vertical horizontal alignment and the grade of the designated sections of Motsenbocker and Dransfeld Road. In my world, we call this the roadway plan and profile. Exhibit A is 8 sheets long. I'm not going to bore you guys with 8 sheets of details. I'm going to go into 3 and kind of go over some of the details you would see in the typical plan and profile sheets. So what you're going to see first is a plan. It's like you're looking above it. And the profile, it'll be the next slide that I'll show you. This is information's on there that establishes the vertical grade and the vertical alignment of the road. So next slide, please. So this is one of the sheets that's out of Exhibit A. This is the this is the Dransfeld and 20 Mile intersection going south. North is actually to the right on this. So if you're to continue to go north across 20 Mile Road, you got Target, you got Walmart, things like that to the north. This shows the lanes that we're talking about building going south. So this goes directly south across from the existing intersection. Lanes have to line up going across the intersection. You can actually see some improvement on 20 Mile Road, turn lanes to go, so you can turn right to go south, or an acceleration lane if you're coming off of Dransfeld to go east on 20 Mile Road. This continues south, and the road actually starts to curve back to the west in this picture. So you can see the different lane configuration there. You can figure out from stationing on the drawings where we're at, lengthwise of different turn lanes, things like that. And the sheets, if you actually go to the plan sheets, there's actually some what we call super elevation information that you can get from it. I'm not going to bore you guys with technical jargon, but that's basically how the road drains. So again, so somebody in the future can pick this up and go, what are they building? Well, guess what? All this information's here. Next page, please. Next slide. This is the profile information, and for the sheet that was just above, we have to tie into 20 Mile Road. That's very obvious. So that's the very right thing. There's a note saying tie into existing grade. There's a vertical curve. It goes back to the south with a 1% grade. You may ask yourself, why is the road so far above existing ground? It's called the 100-year floodplain. And we have to get this road built above the Cherry Creek floodplain. So more information. The next slide I'm going to show you, the next slide is actually showing this is the bridge across Cherry Creek. When this bridge is built, it will be the longest bridge we have in our inventory at 700 feet long. The longest bridge we have today in Parker's inventory is 600 feet long. This bridge is longer because it doesn't cross the floodplain perpendicular. You can find information from this as far as lane configurations going across the bridge. An interesting thing you'll actually see here is the sidewalks on Dransfeld will spin off and go down into Cherry Creek. So you're not going to be up on this bridge, 700 feet long. You're actually going to be down in Cherry Creek is where you're going to be. And you're going to cross Cherry Creek at grade in the trees. This is actually going to make a nice connection to the Cherry Creek Trail, but also it does very well with Salisbury North Park because it's going to get people down and get them into Salisbury North as well. Next slide, please. So this is a profile of the road as it crosses Cherry Creek. At the very highest point where it crosses Cherry Creek, if you were to jump from the road, you're 25 feet above the bottom of Cherry Creek. You might ask yourself, why is it so high up in the air? Well, if you've been on any of Parker's bridges, we have to get those bridges built up high enough to pass this 100-year flood event under the bridges. And what you're not seeing here is the depth of the bridge. So this bridge 25 feet up in the air to the road surface, there's 6-7 feet of bridge structure that you're not seeing, and you got these bridge columns. But that's why it's so high up in the air. We have to pass this event. And on top of it, you have to take into account debris that are floating in the 100-year event. There's going to be trees coming. I hope that I never see the 100-year event in Parker, but it's come before. The 65-year flood was more than a 100-year event. It will happen. So that's what we're doing, our best design so that this bridge survives this 100-year event, so that that event flows under it. Next slide, please. This is actually an intersection of the new Motsenbocker Dransfeldt intersection. And I apologize, us engineers, we try to optimize our page layouts. North is actually up and to the left in this one. So this is the new intersection. Dransfeldt and Motsenbocker are shown on the right. And this shows the road going back to the west, north and west, going back towards Todd Drive off to the left. From this information, you can actually see that we're smoothing the curve, where by today's nursery, that's been a complaint that we've had for years and years. It's being designed to collector standards, is what we're doing here. To make this work, we have to slide it to the inside of the curve. So this starts so people can look at this in the future as that development occurs on the inside of that curve, currently unincorporated Douglas County, but they can pull up this information and see what we're proposing to build. Next slide, please. This is some profile information, and again, showing the grades of the road, some vertical curves for drainage. I worry about things like stopping site distances and things like that. I'm not going to bore you guys, but this meets all of our criteria for collector roadways. Next slide, please. So this ordinance establishes the vertical alignment, the horizontal alignment, and the vertical grades of these designated sections of Dransfeld Road and Motsenbocker Road. It doesn't go beyond the limits. So we talked about Longland Drive on Motsenbocker, the Todd Drive. We talked about on Dransfeld from the 20-mile intersection down to this new intersection that doesn't exist today. And this ordinance is being proposed so that future development that occurs adjacent to these roadways will be able to determine the vertical alignment, the horizontal alignment, and vertical grade of these roads. And an ordinance is required to approve this. And with that, I'll answer any questions you might have.
Great. Thanks, Chris. We'll start with Councilmember Dyak.
No questions.
All right. Councilmember Barrington.
Just a clarifying question. 100-year event, 100-year flood event does not mean it's going to happen every 100 years, correct?
No.
1% chance or something like that of it happening?
It's a 1% chance every year that it will occur. And we can go into a lot more details if you'd like, but it's statistics is what it is. It could happen literally 2 years in a row, very low probability. The 65 flood that people talk about, it was beyond a 100-year event. It was more like a 300-year event. I will tell you that the numbers are mind-boggling when you look at Cherry Creek for the 100-year event. The biggest event I've ever seen in Cherry Creek is about 2,000 cubic feet per second. It's more than 40,000 cubic feet per second when it comes. Does it happen? Yeah, it happened in 65, and then there was a 64, 65, and there was another event that happened that took out the Castlewood Canyon Dam in 1933. That was another 100-year event. So are we due? Perhaps, but it's 1 in 1. I'm going lengthy here, but 1 in 100 chance of any year occurring.
And then this is also, it sounds like, is going to take a lot of the pressure off of Parker Road and some of the surrounding, this is going to help traffic.
Yeah. So the former mayor used to make fun of me because I always talk about a grid of roads. It's absolutely imperative to have parallel networks, a network, a mesh of roads to carry the traffic. And this is just another part of the network that we've got to have to carry the traffic. So this goes in turn with other improvements that we're doing, but yes. Is it going to eliminate all the traffic on Parker Road? No. But it's all part of the network that we need to provide some relief to Parker Road. I can't emphasize it enough. You have to have a grid of roads to make a road network work.
And then are we going to hear comment from Flat Acres?
The gentleman is here from Flat Acres, and he'd be welcome to come up and make comments here in a few minutes.
Yep, so we'll open it up for public comment, though.
Yep.
That's no more questions. Thank you.
Awesome. Councilmember Hefta?
Yes. Just addressing the safety issue by today's nursery, the curve there. Just a little bit more explanation. Your plan is to flatten out or
Correct.
reconstruct that curve because it's quite dangerous right now. You have people speeding around that curve at around 50 miles an hour. The speed limit there is about, I think, 25 right now. A young lady was also killed on that road. There is a graveside there as well. So you are going to still keep the speed limit around 25 miles an hour
So
in
when
that
we're
area.
done
It is
with-
a housing area.
Correct. It's a collector roadway, so I'm trying to think of a similar collector roadway.
Canterbury.
Canterbury, 30 miles an hour, depends on, you know what I'm saying? J. Morgan Boulevard, 30 miles an hour. But that's the intent of the road. It's going to be designed, it's not designed for an arterial. It's not going to be 40 miles an hour, but we're designing the road for a collector roadway. And it's going to be built, what's there today, they just fit it in with an existing right-of-way from an old gravel road back in the day. They did the best they could. We have to take it to another level. We have to take care of this problem, and that means smoothing the curve.
Okay. And you're not going to widen the lanes at all?
Basically, it's still going to be one lane each direction there with a shared left-hand turn lane in the middle with bike lanes. It's the plan.
Okay. Bike lanes, that's good, because right now, people on that road are biking on the road. And it's a safety issue on a regular basis on that road with joggers and bikers on that 2-lane road.
Form of a question?
Yeah, well, sorry, I'm just saying it's a safety issue right now, and I want to make that point.
Councilmember Hendricks.
For the bridge, I'm sorry, how many lanes?
It's just a 2-lane bridge.
2-lane bridge?
Yeah, and that will actually carry all the traffic we're projecting, and we've set it up to be widened in the future if some reason we're completely wrong with all of our traffic projections, so.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Councilmember Polk?
Yeah, I'm giving you some strange questions here. I know the issues with the Corps of Engineers and the 65 flood and the 100-year flood requirements. However, did Reuter Hess not offer some change to that?
So you have to look at what Reuter Hess can actually pump over the hill. It's not much when you look when the big flood comes. So it does help. Reuter Hess helps Newland Gulch, but we're not talking about Newland Gulch. We're talking about Cherry Creek here. And when Parker Water inflates their dam south of Stroh, it's only a few cubic feet per second they can pump over the hill. So when the big one comes, I would love to see it all go to Reuter Hess, but we just don't. They don't have the pumps to do it.
So I was hoping that the Reuter Hess could help absorb and convince the Corps of Engineers to take a different look at this, because the cost of putting that bridge in is going to be huge.
That's correct. But again, the Reuter Hess has no effect on this section of Cherry Creek we talk about the big one. When the big one comes, it's mind-boggling, the flow numbers that are proposed for Cherry Creek projected, and they've happened. So we aren't talking about something that's never happened. It's happened.
Oh, it's happened, some major times.
Yep.
I felt that dam could probably absorb more of that impact.
I would have to get back to you what they can pump over the hill, but it's not very many cubic feet per second they can pump over the hill, so.
Okay.
Tom, do you have a
Real quick.
clarification?
So the pump station that's south of Stroh Road that Parker Water and Sanitation utilizes to draw water off of Cherry Creek has 60 cubic feet per second maximum capacity. So when you're looking at 40,000 cubic feet, 60 cubic feet per second is just a very small fraction of that total flow. So even if they had their dam and diversion structure running at max capacity, it's less than 0.1% that they could actually have an effect on the 100-year discharge in Cherry Creek.
Thank you. So the bottom line is we're going to get stuck with the cost.
We're sharing it.
Yes.
Councilman Rivera.
Thank you. The bridge and all of that, but one thing, just a quick question for you. As we set this alignment, we have future development north of Horseshoe. And with this set in stone, would that development then have to add and run their access points off of the future road, correct? Not the road that exists now.
When you say north of Horseshoe.
North of Horseshoe, we have the RV parking, and then we have the horse farm.
Oh, you're talking about the horse farm today?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when and if that sells, and when we put this ordinance, if we do enact this ordinance, then they would have to run their access off what is going to be, correct, not what is now.
Correct.
Thank you.
That's the plan is, again, so this is so the developers that happen to come along
Yep.
will have something they can reference.
Bingo. Perfect. Thank you very much.
Okay, so we'll close out staff comments and questions and open it up for public comment. Anyone in the room wishing to make a public comment on the matter, come on up. And I know we all know you, but if you'll state your name and address for the record, and I'll start your timer for you.
Name is Mike Smith. Address is 11321 Dransfeldt Road, which is the farm in question here where the road is.
Excellent.
I'm accompanied tonight by my sister, Pat Breeden, who is the farm itself is owned by a family partnership. And I'm a personal representative for the partnership. There's my mother, myself, my sister, and then a granddaughter out of Grand Junction, who are members of the partnership. And my son Skyler is with us tonight, and he's like the next generation coming in when this whole park leaves. And anyway, we've been working on this road project for years, 12, 15 years, right, Tom? Something like that. So it's, in a way, it's a blessing for us, in a way, it's not a blessing. It changes the whole dynamics of the farm, everything we do there, and what we can and cannot do in the future. It's going to change totally. But one thing about it, if the road project is cut in stone and it's going to take place, it gives us direction, what we can do. So it kind of takes us out of limbo. And we've been on this limbo thing for 15 years. So at least it'll give us a direct line of how to proceed with things. And the road project is needed in town. If anybody ever drives Dransfeldt Road and tries to make that corner onto 20-mile road, and especially coming out of the farm, it's a little dangerous there because people don't heed the light. They just turn left constantly, and it's kind of scary sometimes. But the Dransfeldt Road extension is needed. It's going to, like I said, be a blessing for us in a way because it gives us direction on what we can and cannot do on the farm and gets us out of this limbo thing, and it'd be a good asset to Parker because there's a lot of traffic that needs to get to the center of retail in town. And that will definitely help that. As far as we're concerned at this point, the road project is a good thing.
Excellent. Thanks, sir.
Got any questions for me?
I think we're good. Yep, I think we're good. Thanks. Any other public comment on the matter? All right. Danette, do we have anybody online wishing to make public comment?
No, nobody online.
All right. Council, I'm going to bring it back for final comments, debate, and go forward. So I'm going to start with Councilmember Hendricks.
I know this has been talked about for a long time, and I'm personally very excited. This will definitely help alleviate congestion on Parker Road. I used to play softball at Salisbury Park, so I know how to go all the way around to get to that. So the access for retail into Parker and just alleviating traffic will help immensely. And plus, any project that has Todd Drive included is awesome. So
I can't tonight. Councilmember Pogue.
Yeah, I know we need this project, but I mourn the loss of your entire farm. Well, a lot of it. And I spent many a day down there with Denver doing different things with the fire department, extrications, you name it, on the creek. So I have a different history for that location. But thank you.
Councilman Rivera.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Smith and family, for being here. Appreciate your words, and it means a lot that you're in the room tonight. This is a long time coming. I'm not going to steal Councilmember Diak's thunder here. Has been pushing this for 9 years. And I'm sure it started well before we got on. So this is a great first step. I look forward to the future planning and the future curvy road grid network that we're going to get. But well done by staff, well done by the Smith family and all the partners. Thank you.
Councilmember Diak.
Yeah, no, I haven't been a part of this for 15 years, but 9. I think one of the first conversations I had was with Chris Hudson. I wanted him to walk me through the 10-year CIP plan, and we had 2 projects at the very end of it that we didn't know how the heck we were going to do. One was the Cottonwood Bridge, which just got completed at the end of last year, and the second one was this Dransfeld extension. And there were a couple of challenges. You needed to find the money, you needed to find willing landowners, and it just needed to be the right time, quite honestly. And I think through the conversations, with knowing that we didn't have the money and we were looking for partnership money, we found that with our friends at the Douglas County Commissioners. They, after a number of, I think, years of discussing this and telling them that this was our #1 priority, we finally stumbled upon the parallel route to Parker phrase, which kind of creates purpose of this project and ultimately the buy-in. So, for us to be in a position to do this, and for Mike and his family to be willing partners, it's all come together, and I'm thankful it has. I look forward to the future construction of this, so we can check one more project we didn't think we could ever do off on our list and focus on other things. And again, it'll just be a fantastic addition to Parker to get those new developments into our retail core. I think it's going to be fantastic. Thank you.
Councilmember Barrington.
So I'm definitely coming in on the tail end of this project, but thank you to the Smith family for being here. And I feel your pain. It's the not knowing is just, like you said, being in limbo, that just, you just can't move forward. So I hope this will be helpful to you. And just in light of the recent events that we've had, or that Boulder County has had, we know that anything can happen. And with how dry it's been, so I think you made a great point, Chris, about all the other surrounding areas that use our roadways, and just planning ahead. It's something that needs to happen. So I know this has been a long time in the works, and thank you for all your hard work.
Councilmember Hefta.
So yes, when you sit up on town council, you have to think to the future. And one of the questions we had during our video interviews were, where do you see Parker in the next 40 years? Well, Parker in the next 40 years may have double its population. We've got many new construction and family homes right now going in, projected for a 20 to 30-year build-out along Hess Road, where the exact area that we're talking about. And so you have to project into the future, and the Engineering Department and Public Works Department has done just that. They projected into the future what is necessary for the town in the next 40 years, and they're laying the groundwork now to make this happen now, to put these roadways in. And also, they've really effectively negotiated with Mr. Smith over the last 15 years, being the visionaries they are, because, again, that's a beautiful farm, it's a beautiful area, and they had to work hard, I'm sure, with Mr. Smith and his family partnership to come to a solid agreement on how this could be done. So this, again, kudos to the Engineering and Public Works and also Mr. Smith and his family partnership for working together to make this happen. So it just shows me that there's great relationships that the Public Works and Engineering have in this town. And thank you for your hard work on all of this, all of you. Thank you.
Great. With that, council, I'll entertain a motion on ordinance number 4.116 on second reading.
I think this is John's.
I move to approve ordinance number 4.116 on second reading.
Second.
Motion is made by Councilman Dyak, seconded by Councilmember Rivero. Rivero?
Aye.
Pogue?
Aye.
Hendricks?
Yes.
Dyak?
Yes.
Barrington?
Yes.
Hefta?
Yes.
And that passes 6-0. With no other business before the Parker Town Council, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is made by Councilman Rivero, seconded by Councilmember Pogue. All in favor?
Aye. Yes.
Opposed? We are adjourned at 8:31.